the despicable rise of like AI slop and a loosening grip on reality with a story so comically potent, visually inspired, and like irreverent that no computer could match its zeal. And that's the thing I admire the most about Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is that this is a product of an original mind, a bold mind in Matthew Robinson and Gore Verbinski. A collaborative effort amongst some really great people and some tremendous character actors in this thing, top to bottom, who have compiled together to give us what is probably going to be one of the most original and fiercely enjoyable movies of the year. That's how I'm starting it. If you want to continue from there, Dom.
Yeah, when this movie like hard launches just right at the first like, get go, right in the first few seconds, I was actually a little annoyed just because remember like 10, 12 years ago in the back in the good old 2010s, well we were still all on Facebook as our primary social media. It was all the boomers going like, man, looking at your phone is bad. That Facebook, if you look at the F in Facebook, it's like a man looking down at his phone and it'll break your neck. And then all the freaking boomer minion memes, and it was very obnoxious. And I'm like, no, this is a tool. You can use it properly. Yes, there's going to be people who run away with it, but et cetera, et cetera. Now in 2026, everyone wants to be freaking Ted Kaczynski, right? So that's where we're at. Everyone wants to go full Unabomber, which is not far off from what the Unabomber aesthetic is not far off from what Sam Rockwell is pursuing here. Again, at least just in aesthetics. But this is absolutely a movie with a lot of heart, with a lot of soul, and it seems like it's fighting for both of those things at the same time. In so many ways, it's got a lot to say about society, right? And if you find those kinds of preachy movies annoying, you might have a hard time at least getting into the first 10 minutes or so. But once you do find your footing, you will find that this is probably the best episode of Black Mirror that you'll have watched in
Yeah.
a while. Okay, so both of you reacted to that, and it seems like both of you were probably going to mention that at some point.
I mentioned Black Mirror in my review.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yes, I figure both of you. I was gonna wait to see who mentioned it first,
I had
and
two older
yeah.
gentlemen in my screening because I went to go see this in the morning, and they were treating the theater like it was their living room. But they were quiet throughout most of the movie. But when the second story ended between the characters that are introduced, the mother character
Mhm.
played by Juno Temple, when that story ended, the guy went, "I feel like I'm watching Black Mirror," and then somebody in the audience went, "Yeah, that's the point," and then like they never said anything after that ever again.
That's so funny. That's really effing funny. So yeah, if you don't like Black Mirror at all, if you think it's too preachy, if you think it's gimmicky, you might have a hard time watching this. But personally, I think it's salient. I think it's very, you know, it's the message we need to hear, even if it does get a little obnoxious at times, but it no less poignant. And the journey in which you get there. For me, I will end with this opening with saying this was definitely in the running to be a 4-star movie.
For me, I couldn't have asked for a movie like this to come out at a time like now more than ever. In fact, one of the reviews I liked on Letterboxd, um, said it best about this movie, which is sometimes the world needs a punch right on the nose to snap them out of the hellscape. We're just barreling towards at a rapid speed. Such a good way of just putting how this movie is because it is coming in there and it is screaming that at you the entire time. Yes, is this movie an old man yelling at the clouds type of thing? Sure, you could take it that way. But this old man has something to say at least. This isn't like, back in my day, we didn't drive cars, we walked to work. I didn't have a bus to go to school. No, this guy's actually having something to say. And I mean, just look at last weekend. How many commercials during one of the most viewed events of, the year were all around AI? Oh, AI can do this for you. Oh, AI can order you this. Oh, AI can get a meal plan for you, ready to go and everything. And how many of these other commercials from Claude or and the funniest thing is actually, I was thinking about this, the Claude commercials had the jump ahead on this movie because they do something in those commercials that this movie actually has as a plot point of people talking like they're AI the entire time. Um, Good luck, have fun, don't die is what Steve said. It is something only a human can make. I don't think any AI could ever replicate something like this, because it's just like it is tossing up so many ideas, like everything everywhere all else but everything everywhere. Oh my god, what the hell is that title? Oh my
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
god. All at once.
I
I
was
almost
thinking
said
that
but
too.
all at once. Like so like it is like that, where I mean it's tossing a lot of ideas, especially visually it's like doing stuff that like audiences might be like, what the hell is going on, like throughout the whole like runtime of this movie. It does deal with like a sci-fi, thing of like, hey, like different universes, and this one it's different timelines or different, times. And the thing is though, here's the other thing too. I went to go see this with a friend, and they got caught up in the whole time travel thing, and they were pointing out all the flaws and plot holes when it comes to time travel. And I told them that's not the point of the fucking movie.
The
all right?
flaws that come with time travel. Say that out loud again.
Like, I had to look at him and go, dude, man, like, you know in Avengers Endgame, when Paul Rudd goes, so you're telling me Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit? That's how I feel about every time travel movie. It's not about the time travel. It's all a bunch of BS. It's just about the adventure and how they utilize it. And how it's utilized, and good luck, have fun, don't die. It's utilized really fun. It's really, there's some great jokes with it. There's some great one-liners involving the fact that Sam Rockwell's character, the man from the future, has failed so many times that he knows people's names, he knows stuff about them they don't know and everything. And there's just cool moments. Got a great laugh out of me where he got somebody killed and he said, oh shit, I guess that didn't have to happen this time. And throughout, like, again, it's utilized to that. The movie is about AI. The movie is about how much we're relying on technology to do the most average thing. The movie is about how much we're just so focused on technology. The fact it's just like we're at dinner and we're just scrolling through TikTok and everything and whatnot. And it does such a great job at conveying that message through the storylines of separate characters. Because what this is throughout the night, as they're getting towards their destination, you're learning more about the people that are within the group. Zazie Beetz and Michael Pena are a couple who work at a high school. Juno Temple is a mom who just recently... She's got the best storyline out of all of them. I don't know how you guys felt, but I felt like that storyline was great. She is a mom who just lost her son to a school shooting, and there's technology out there to help bring him back, quote unquote, back. And then the final person is Juno Temple. Not Juno Temple, I'm sorry.
Are we hearing something in the background?
Catherine's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Haley Lou Richardson is the final other character, and I won't go too much in her storyline because she has a whole thing that, like, you probably best to not know too much about her, especially as you're going into this movie. And throughout the whole night, you learn more about Sam Rockwell's character and a little bit about his backstory. I was completely entertained with this movie up until the third act, and I will leave it right there for us to go into a little bit longer.
I had to look up what Matthew Robinson did before, the writer of this, because I wasn't, just off the name before, I wasn't registering anything. He's a writer of Monster Trucks in 2016, which I think is a very underappreciated, goofy-ass kids movie. He wrote that. He was also one of the writers of Before You Laugh. I actually saw this thing in a theater, and it was pretty good. I remember it was pretty damn good. Was the Dora the Explorer movie, Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
I like that movie.
That was shockingly good.
Yeah.
Shockingly good for what it was.
You know, a lot of the humor from that movie did remind me of this.
There's a lot of the same kind of humor. Where that movie worked too, because while it's definitely, I think it's been on Nickelodeon too, while it's a very acceptable kids movie too, there are like PG-13 leaning jokes in that movie for those who grew up with Dora.
There's also a lot of winking at the camera of like, isn't that right about like the show, and like, how weird that is.
And I don't remember if I've seen this movie or I've just seen clips, because it was actually before I was writing a review. The only movie Robinson ever directed, and he co-directed it with Ricky Gervais, was The Invention of Lying. I remember certain scenes from that, but I don't think I ever saw the whole thing. But thinking of that, the concept of that movie and the crafty sort of concept of it, where it's like this thing everybody takes for granted, lying, and this thing that everybody takes for granted, technology, and this, like how he builds off of that and sort of dissects it down to like the minutia of it. And I just want to add this element too. It's bound to be one of the funniest things in the movie, but it is probably the to be able it take the audacity it takes as a comedy writer to make a joke or a setup about surrounding a school shooting.
Dude, I
The
know.
audacity it takes to do that, and the boldness and success it takes to pull it off and make it uproariously funny. There is one scene in this movie that is hilarious, and it involves Juno Temple in the aftermath of her teenage son getting killed by a school shooting. And it's one of the biggest laughs I've had in a minute.
Yeah.
It is so audacious in that way and successful. And it's so good in the way it's handled. And because looking at it, this movie has something to say. It looks at how we've outsourced so many things to technology. In the coming years or months, with the way the world moves, why not outsource grief too?
Yeah. No,
People are already talking about it, right? There's some mock-up startups that are working on concepts like that, and it's like, oh, this is Torment Nexus kind of shit, in the sense that where it's like, oh, this is the thing that science fiction has been telling us for literal decades to not do, and we're doing it in the relentless pursuit of profit. So it's like, yeah, no, why wouldn't it just all culminate like this? It's great.
When people are actually using AI chatbots as therapists, it's like we're not too far off from some of the things that people that this movie is bringing up. And while I had some people that I went to go see this with like a group of friends and everything yesterday, and while some of them were like, I mean, come on, do you really think that's gonna be possible? And I was like, I mean, like, did you see some of these Super Bowl commercials? Like, look what the Ring camera can do now. Like, it's just like we're not too far off.
The thing with science fiction at times is that, look, we can all laugh when it gets it completely wrong, but for the most part, a lot of it holds up simply because, okay, maybe things aren't one-to-one exactly how this piece of science fiction predicted.
Mm-hmm.
But the core concepts are absolutely still there, and that's what still makes them relevant to this day. So even if things aren't exactly 1984, where people take their 5 minutes of hate and scream at a screen in a theater for however many, I forget the thing, but even if it's not exactly like that, we're all kind of doing that online on Reddit, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're all kind of doing that on the comments of YouTube videos. We're all kind of doing that when motherfuckers slut shame women for posting a basic Instagram video. We've got kind of it's abstracted in a way, and that's why I'm okay with certain aspects of a lot of aspects of this movie, right from the beginning. Right, the whole thing is a time loop, so that's
Fine.
already, you're suspending that disbelief. There's literal, how they deal with the grief. That's like, alrighty, that's already like a leap of logic, and that's fine. It works here. There is a giant creature towards the end of this movie that shows up, and it's like, where did that come from? How do we explain this? And it's like, you don't really need to. And it's a fantasy element, not high fantasy like Lord of the Rings or anything, but it is fantastical. And in that sense, it's like, okay, Verbinski's playing with this in such a way that it is pointed, sharp satire, in the way that Don't Look Up wants to be, right? In the way that Black Mirror certainly is. I think I enjoyed this much more than Don't Look Up, because Don't Look Up is it doesn't have those fantastical elements. Kind of does a little bit, but not nearly as much as
a little bit
Good
with
Luck Here
its
does.
exaggeration of like people and everything.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, especially towards the end. Like that's when it gets like really crazy.
But here it's there from the jump, from the get go.
Subject matter wise, it reminded me, I think it's very germane, and I think that could have the enduring staying power, especially like I wouldn't call this movie I wouldn't call this next movie I'm going to mention like a cultural touchstone. I don't think it's that level, but it is definitely like a premier cult classic that is referenced a lot today. It's actually 20 years old this year, Idiocracy.
Yeah. I could see that.
So-
I mean, I think that's a cultural stuff. I mean, every time I go online, I'm still seeing in the comments, man, this is just like Idiocracy. That's called classic for sure.
I think that this movie kind of has potential to have the enduring staying power of that. Like, it's not going to be the runaway kind of box office success that Everything Everywhere was, but just by virtue of its limited release. But I do think that this is going to be one of those movies that's, it was technological progress goes boink, as Calvin and Hobbes once said. As sort of the tech machine rolls on, you're going to get some weird shit, and you're going to be like, oh, it's like in Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. And right in the premise there, too, one of the things I like about this movie, too, is that thematically speaking, like, what's the message? Because this movie does a lot of metaphorical, as you were saying, Dom, metaphorical yelling at the cloud. Pun intended there. But does a lot of metaphorical yelling and screaming and, like, making a statement, what is the ultimate statement of the movie too? And I think it's right there in the title in some ways too, is that it's going to take a great deal of good luck, to avoid going down the path we seem to be barreling down at the moment.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say we. It's not like, because I think the vast majority, and could be anecdotal, we don't live on the coasts or anything where a lot of these startups exist. I think the vast majority of Americans are very skeptical and leery of AI. I think the vast majority of working professionals and creative people are against it, and against its broad, unquestioned implementation. And I think that might, Catherine said as much too in the past in our conversation too. That might be the thing that reunites the country in some ways. Is the collective, because the boomers couldn't figure it out, so they'll hate it on that measure. The young people like the millennial age people like us have seen technology gone wrong, and we've grown up with it. We remember a world before it in so many ways. And Gen Z, I think, after making SpongeBob, rap straight out of Compton and everything like that, I think they're going to get tired of it too.
They love using that
it's actually really
derogatory
funny
term
how
for the robots.
yeah, it's like
as
a
well.
cultural victory against AI if you think about it. It's like, yeah, no, it can't take the streets, can it? It'll try and make streets, but it can't quite get it.
How'd you guys? Let me ask you guys this: how'd you guys feel about the third act onward, like the big battle at the very end, how it all wraps up and everything?
This third act, honestly, you could even argue fourth act.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it too.
There's a fourth act. There's a fourth act to this.
Yeah,
it takes place in a basement, and it's like that's like I had hinted at. This had the makings of a 4-star movie, but it's not going to be a 4-star movie. Let me tell you that much. And I'll just start the conversation by saying that a lot of it really comes down to that basement area. There were some I don't know, pacing beforehand. You could argue, man, I don't know. But that basement, I don't know. I feel like they could have cut that down so much. Maybe they couldn't have been so grandiose and verbose with involving a child. Joe, you play Mass Effect, right? You play Mass Effect 3? Yeah. Was this giving you Mass Effect 3 vibes?
It was. It reminded me of how much we're dragging our feet at the finish line. It's like, okay, come on, man. Like, we're right here. Just
there's a little bit of difficulty in landing the plane.
Yeah, yes. There really is. It's like, you feel like they're about to land it, and they go, like, okay, hold on, we're gonna make a big statement about that. Okay, now we're like, okay, hold on a minute, and it just kept going and going. That I was like,
the wheels kind of go up a little bit,
Yeah, I was like, when is this gonna end? Like, I was just kind of like, by the third time that little kid like fell off the top of the mountain, I was just like, all right, when are we gonna wrap this up, man? For me, though, it's not that I don't like the ending. Like, I think actually where it ends, like the very final scene, I actually dig that. And I like the potential idea of a sequel to this movie. Like, it's like, okay, I actually kind of like fuck with that idea of like, if they want to do a sequel and further explore some stuff, they could. I don't think they will, but if Robinski actually had some ideas, he could run back with this again. But like everything leading up to that, from when they have their big showdown at the end, this big battle onward, it's not that I wasn't having a good time. No, I was. It's just I felt like, all right, we're kind of dragging our feet now longer and longer. Every time I was like, I think by then, like every time they were like kind of like acting like this is normal, like we're just gonna do this. It's like, no, this movie has been a wild ride from start to finish. Why are we thinking that this all of a sudden is gonna be normal? Like when they just knock on the door to the house they have to get to, and I'm like, no, okay, there's something up here. Like let's just get on with it. And then they go into the basement. Okay, there's something up here with the kid. Let's just get on with it. Like, you know, it just started dragging its feet a little too long at the end for me. Not enough to ruin it. I still think this is well worth going to theaters. Well worth spending a full price ticket on it and everything, because I still think those first 2/3 are so strong, and how the movie wraps everything up by the end, that it's well worth your money and time to go see still.
I agree. I will say one of the more negative opinions that I've seen about this movie, and I don't agree with it, and I'll explain why. I get why people, I'm not going to chastise people. I get why people have this issue, but it's not the Black Mirror comp, but this is a movie that is very episodic in structure, especially in the beginning, especially in the first half. And it's the kind of movie where, you know, once he cherry picks the people he needs, once the man from the future, Rockwell doesn't have a name in the movie, once he cherry picks the people he is going to go on the ride with and try to defeat technology with, we go back to their lives leading up to their visit to that diner that evening. And it didn't bother me, and here's why. I think it's comparable, and we just saw this less than a year ago. It's very comparable to Zach Kreger's Weapons.
Yeah.
Because Weapons is in the same way. And Weapons, I think, does it even more, not egregiously, but Weapons does it in more of a dangerous way because of how it builds momentum, and then it cuts away to a whole other group of individuals or a whole other individual in general.
Yeah.
If the story is strong and the cast is clearly committed, like the movie constantly has like this forward momentum that makes it engaging. That I did, and I like these characters and I like these people and everything. And I did not feel that took me out of it, the episodic structure of it. I liked it in the first hour, and then I like how once it catches itself up to the present, or as much as the present as a time loop or time warp movie can be, that's kind of where it stays.
Yeah.
As someone who didn't watch Weapons, I thought it's a genius structure. Not to say he invented it or anything, but it's done so effectively because
it goes back to Kurosawa. It goes back to Kurosawa.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, okay, we went back here to look at a character backstory, but then they bring something to the present that pays off, and it's like, there you go, that's the formula. It's great.
If it's worth flashing back for, that's my whole thing. If it's worth flashing back, it shouldn't completely derail the movie.
It provides both material and, you know, emotional relevance to the main plot, and that's great.
I just read too that this was originally conceived as a TV series, and it was going to be a TV series from Robinson called "Don't Trust Anyone Under 30," and that makes sense structurally.
I do wonder if some young people, they're going to get a little pissed at this movie for making them look stupid, but. I mean, I don't know, man. Some Gen Alpha brains are getting cooked, and it's not their fault. It's really not. I really do pity them. Jesus Christ! Imagine being raised on ChatGPT and AI. Oh,
I know.
I know. Whenever I see that tweet of like, "How am I supposed to write this essay?" and I'm gonna get flagged for using AI, I'm like, "Oh my God, you would never have survived growing up in my era, man."
No, I know. Like that it is wild when you say that. I know with the second Zoom clock, and we are doing this on a technical off day and stuff. I don't want to keep y'all as much as so much longer. But man, I gotta say that
thoughts. If you're ready.
I was gonna say I'll really quickly sum it up too, because I feel like I did the most talking. But tip of the cap to Robinson, and I'm a Verbinski fan, as I made clear, and he has a lot to do with the credit of this movie too. But Robinson is the audacious, bold screenwriter too that took a lot of chances with this thing, and more often than not succeeds. A little bit of the messy ending aside, I was thinking about it too when I was writing my review of this thing. And it just came back to me now because it was like a fleeting thought in the moment. If this thing I was writing my review, and it's very positive. I'm giving this 3.5 out of 4 stars. But I was like, man, if this sucked, I could have come up with a good thing. Nothing, nowhere, not even close. I was like, man, I had a good line. If this thing sucked, it doesn't. 3.5 out of 4 stars. This is the first great movie of the year.
For me, it is 3 stars. A very solid 3 stars. And you know what? Even though it's like, you're probably thinking, like, this won't be on my best of list. No, I can see this being towards, like, the 10, 8, 9 section. as well as like this is a high 3-star. It could be my honorable mention by the end of the year because that's how much I really did enjoy this movie, despite even how I was feeling about it towards the end and everything. I really did enjoy majority of this movie that I'm urging people to go see it if it's near them because I feel like it is echoing a lot of stuff that my friends have like shared about how their feelings about AI and what I've even seen from like family members and just peers online as well. Like just the the whole thing about like man, like it was really weird seeing the Super Bowl have so many pro AI. Like it's okay, just let AI do the work for you. It's okay, just let AI do this job for you. It's just like I mean there's literally that one commercial I forget what celebrity it is. Maybe it's Samuel Jackson or it was somebody. But it's like, "Oh, you came into work today? Yeah, you don't have to do that. Just go to AI, like go to Microsoft Companion, and they'll do the Excel sheet for you." And then they close the laptop and leave the workplace. And I'm just like, that literally is them taking the job away from him, though. Like, it's just like, what the hell is that? Um, Let me tell you too, as somebody who saw Mercy as well, this is a big middle finger to Mercy. And while Mercy might be the box office success that it had at the start of the year and everything, I do feel like culturally, if this movie does get the legs that we were talking about, this movie will have longer staying power than Mercy did, and its pro AI messaging that it had compared to this movie, which was completely
It's pro AI. Okay, I haven't seen it, and I looked very bored by it, but by the trailer.
Let me just say this, Dom. Chris Pratt literally looks at the screen and goes, "It's all right, AI. Sometimes humans get things wrong too. It just makes us human," or like he says something along the lines for that, where it's just like AI can get things wrong and that's okay. Like even if it means executing a person when they were not guilty in this theoretical situation that I'm in.
Someday we're gonna get some kind of video or documentary on the cooking of Chris Pratt. I don't know what happened with that man, but
I don't either. But yeah, 3 out of 4 stars. Dom, take it home.
I was really oscillating between 3 and 3.5 stars as well. I think I'm going to go with 3.5 just because the message is there, the heart is there, the gumption is there, the moxie is there, and it's all very. It's a message that will only get more relevant. What's that saying? I remember watching an old trailer for the original 1960s West Side Story, where it's like, as time goes on, West Side Story gets younger, and it's those old trailers where they would do stuff like that. And I think that's true for a lot of movies, including this one. And despite its flaws, with its kind of dragging fourth act and maybe its preachiness, man, maybe it's a message. Some messages I think someone just needs to beat you over the head with it, man. I don't know how many times you got to do it, but some of them you just got to get a full haymaker to the face of maybe don't atrophy your brain by outsourcing your thought process to a service that is invested in shadow money by corrupt billionaires. Just a thought, just a thought that I had by myself, an original one. But yeah, 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Well said, well said. I did lie, though. This is not the first great movie of 2026. I had a momentary lapse of judgment. 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
When you said that, I was like, wait a minute, no, we saw something. We did review something.
Help. Yeah.
So now I like this.
Well.
I like this a little bit more.
Fair enough.
Yes. But yes, The Bone Temple was technically the first great film of 2026. Great review, though. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Definitely check it out, though. I know Wuthering Heights has commanded the attention of a lot of people and everything like that. Check out. Oh man, we haven't seen it yet. We're seeing it this week. Good. Back and better than ever. Better late than never. Sleepless with Steve, live on YouTube. We come to you live and in living color, mercifully, at 6:57 Central Time. Joe Viso on deck today. Gruesome twosome in effect today. Gonna do probably a little bit of a truncated show, thanks to Zoom wanting to update and then having me restart my whole computer and then deleting my virtual background here. So I'm in the process of trying to put up something. That's why it's blurred. I'm trying to put up something here in a pinch. Before we get into Scream 7, I know this is our first show in a while because either technical difficulties or other obligations have prevented us from getting together. Joe, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing good. I realized too we haven't done a show because I haven't been on a show because I had a work event the week after we reviewed Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Yep.
our President's Day show, I should say. So it felt weird. That was like a Wednesday that we didn't do a show on, but we did it on a Monday. So I was busy the Wednesday after that. And then the Wednesday after that, it was the first Wednesday of the month, and typically I'm not on those shows due to another work obligation. So I had 2 work obligations back to back. I didn't know you guys didn't do a show. I've been so out of the loop with the group chat and everything. I didn't realize. I'm like, holy shit, Steve, Ghostface is right behind you.
I know.
I didn't realize. I was like, oh my god, dude. I'm like, they haven't done a show since the last time I was on there, because I felt like, damn. I'm like, how long has it been? And honestly, not doing that show on a Wednesday when we did it on President's Day instead, dude, it threw me for a loop. I honestly thought we haven't done Sleepless the whole month of February.
No, I know, yeah, because we did that Monday show, as you kept saying. We did that Monday show, and it definitely threw the log off a little bit. I'm glad we still got to do it though, because that was a great movie to discuss.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And everything like that. Next week, I should say this too. Next week will be the Oscar show. So next week we'll have the Academy Awards show. Looking forward to that. Like I said, haven't had a show in 2 weeks, so haven't really discussed it. But we devote the whole show to the Oscars and stuff like that. There's a ton to break down this year, as predicted. So I'm looking forward to that. Just made my picks at stevepulaski.com for this weekend. So I'm excited for that. And again, maybe not the traditional hour-long show format tonight, just given the late start here. Probably maybe closer to 30 minutes, which I think we can tackle. Scream 7 in 30 minutes or so. It is great to see you, though, and we will all be back reunited, the trio of us, next week then for the Oscar show. But again, be that as it may, we've got Scream 7 to tackle today. And you know what? I'm going to do something a little bit different here. While I'm still getting my life together on deck right here, Joe, would you like to introduce Scream 7?
I absolutely would. So Scream 7, if you've been keeping up with the movies, you would know that with Scream 6, this is actually following a different set of characters known as the Carpenter sisters. But for Scream 7, we're following Sidney Prescott this time. We're coming back to her now. The film takes place in Woodsboro once again. We are going back to Woodsboro as well. And Sidney Prescott, like almost every other Scream movie, is contacted by a Ghostface and is telling her, like, you're gonna die tonight, and all the other things. Except this time, a familiar face is accompanied by this voice. Stu from the first movie has reappeared, and Sidney doesn't know if this is actually the real Stu or like some imposter killer of some sort. And so everybody, like, throughout Woodsboro is concerned about, killings that are happening once again. We are also introduced to Sidney's family, which has kind of been talked about since Scream 4, I think, as well.
Around, yeah.
Definitely 5. I remember 5 they brought it up, but 4 I think they were introduced as well, just off camera. It was just mentioned because she was on her book tour. We're finally introduced to Sidney's family. Her husband, played by Joel McHale, is the sheriff of the town, and her daughter, played by, give me a second, I almost said McKenna Grace, because I went into the movie thinking...
It's Isabel May.
Isabel May, thank you. I went into the movie thinking McKenna Grace was playing her daughter.
I did too. I did too.
I'm like, that just makes sense. She's going to be like the new horror it girl and everything. But no, Isabel May plays Tatum. If you recognize that name, then you've been a fan of the Scream franchise for so long. But other characters return as well, such as Mindy and Chad from Scream 5 and 6. And of course, Courtney Cox returns as Gail Weathers. There's a little other references throughout the movie as well that I will not give away. But like every other Scream movie, this is them trying to basically uncover a whodunit type of situation where a murder happened at a school, as well as another location that the movie opens up with. And yeah, just like that, it's just another adventure with Sidney Prescott in the town of Woodsboro, figuring out who is this Ghostface and trying to unmask that killer.
Isn't it Pine Grove, Indiana, not Woodsboro? Aren't they in Indiana in this one?
Are they? I thought they were in Woodsboro.
I'm pretty sure they're in Indiana.
Okay, my mistake, because the way this film opens, I just thought, oh, they're back here now.
Yeah, Pine Grove, Indiana. Indiana, which I think is right near where the Bears will not move to. Anyway.
Okay, I'm glad. Because that already I was like, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was just like, why the fuck did Sidney move back to Woodsboro? I was just so confused.
It's somewhere near Hammond, near oil refineries. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway. Scream 7 though. What's funny is that this thing, like, I will say this series now, I think, has effectively been rebooted twice in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Because this is the first. You did a great job introducing the plot. To give some externalities of this thing, this is directed by Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson, who also wrote it. He's one of the founding fathers of the Scream series alongside Wes Craven. He was the writer on, I believe, the first three.
Yeah.
And he's had executive producer credits on the last few, but he hasn't had any input in the writing, and it's kind of showed. The previous two directors, known as Radio Silence, were Matt Bettinelli, Olpen, and Tyler Gillett. They opted out following what was really a huge fallout for this movie, because originally, obviously, it was supposed to continue where 6 left off with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. Barrera got fired over comments that she made. Ortega left shortly after. Then you had Bettinelli, Olpen, and Gillett leave. And Christopher Landon, I remember this was so quick. I don't know if people remember this. Christopher Landon from Happy Death Day and Freaky was supposed to direct this movie.
Yeah.
He was supposed to direct this movie. He got hired, and then he quit because he kept getting death threats over Barrera's firing as if he made the call.
Which is a shame because, he had nothing to do with it. And honestly, I like that director a lot. That I was like, I feel like this is a perfect fit for him.
Oh, I'm too. I would have liked to see what Landon would have done with this. So then who had all the leverage in the world with this thing, were two people, were Kevin Williamson and Neve Campbell, and both cashed out on this thing. Williamson got paid, I think, like $500,000 for the script.
Oh, wow.
And Neve Campbell got basically name your fucking price. Neve Campbell, I think, made $7 million.
It's so crazy because you think about the drama behind the scenes with Scream 6, which wasn't as bad as this, in terms of drama and everything. But Neve Campbell didn't return due to a payment dispute between her and the Paramount studio, not wanting to pay her enough in that she thought. And the following movie was just here's a blank check.
Oh yeah, they came crying back though because this thing is such a cash cow for them. You know what I mean? The studio could not let this. Paramount could not let this thing go by the wayside. But anyway, though, I will say though, and this is going to sound contradictory, I gave this movie the same star rating as I gave the previous 2 Scream movies, but I like this one more. I think this is probably my favorite since the fourth movie, since they've brought it back in the 2020s. There's still a decent amount wrong with this thing.
Okay.
And there's at times when this thing plays more like Stab than Scream, which I think is really funny in and of itself too. But I will say though, I did like most of the cast. I liked most of the cast more than I have in the past. And that's not just saying, obviously I like Neve Campbell. Matthew Lillard, in the role that they use him in, he's clearly game for it. That's what I liked about Lillard's performance, was that he's game for it. And Courtney Cox is good too. She always is. You know who I liked in this too? It wasn't the daughter's good. Isabel May's good. I didn't mind her character. I thought she was pretty good. You know who I really liked in this movie, and they're like a comparatively small part, but they didn't really do much for me in the previous ones. But I really liked Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown as Gail Weathers' understudies, her intern reporters. I thought they were really good in this thing.
Mason Gooding and who's the actor from him and I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Tariq Weathers.
Dude, these two guys gotta just be bros in a movie because
no, they do.
Because they're both so charming. I liked Chad ever since the 5th movie. I didn't like Mindy so much. The 6th movie, I started liking Mindy more, and in this movie, I liked her more as well. This is probably the most I've liked her. And I feel like though Mason Gooding is such a charming dude that him and Tyreek Withers, like I said, they just gotta be in a movie together where they're either just college football bros or something and just hang out. It could be another horror movie because between this, Hard Eyes, and then with Tyreek Withers, where it's I enjoy his performance in him. And he's one of the saving graces of that movie, along with Marlon Wayans. And then I Know What You Did Last Summer, terrible movie, but he's one of the best parts about it too.
Oh, my hot take for the Oscars. Not this year's Oscars, but back when Fruitvale Station came out, I said I said in my review, you can read it. My review in 2013, I said Michael B. Jordan will win an Oscar one day, and I think Sunday's that day. I said while I'm taking a victory lap in advance over here, I said in my predictions, I said my next big predictions in the next 15 years, Tyreek Withers will get an Oscar nomination.
I see it
I
coming
think
too.
he's good.
I think he's really good. He's elevated such bad material where it's like Mason Gooding, like he's charming and everything. Don't get me wrong, but like Tyreek Withers, I think is a better actor because I've seen him work with worse material in my opinion, but make it something good.
Oh yeah, like nobody talks about Withers now. I do think he's going to deliver a knockout. Like it's gonna be a slow burn, but somebody's gonna write him a really serious role, and it's gonna be a good movie, and he's gonna knock it out of the fucking park. Mason Gooding too, as my Depression era grandmother would say, could charm a dog off a meat wagon too. Like he is. I thought he was really good here. The one thing, or there's a few things, like I should say, the new sequels of Scream, if anything, I guess the fifth one did all right because the fifth one introduced the requel trope.
Yeah.
These new ones, though, really lost the plot in attempting to provide commentary on like the current state of the genre.
Yeah.
And there's only one scene in this in which Jasmine Savoy Brown delivers like a long monologue in a tavern that kind of talks about like nostalgia bait and stuff like that and how the industry is kind of held up by nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I have a theory on that, but I don't want to talk too much right out the gate.
Okay. For me, I'm more opposite of how you're feeling about this. I feel like I like Scream 5. I thought 6 was okay. I don't really like this one. It's actually they've been getting worse as like it's been going on, where it's like 4 I thought was great. I thought 4 was like, this is the perfect stopping point. And when we got with 5, I was like, okay, you know what, that's cool too. Now here's the thing though. Despite me thinking 6 was okay, I did think, I'm like, you know what? The direction we're taking with the Carpenter sisters and their 2 friends, I'm liking the 2 friends, Mindy and Chad. I'm like, 7 could potentially be really good if, like, you know, we keep going down this direction where they're leaning more into the fact that the Carpenter sisters are embracing more of the fact that they are, you know, kind of tied to Billy Loomis, at least Melissa Barrera's character, not so much Jenna Ortega's. I was like, okay, like, you know, I'm curious to see what they'll do with this. And not that I went into this movie like, oh, now that they abandoned it, like, I don't care. It's like, no, I still went into the movie giving it a fair shot because it's just like, look, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, we got Sydney back, and we got Kevin Williamson back. There's got to be something here. For me, it being more of a stab movie than a Scream movie, I think is what made me just kind of go, I'm not really vibing with this. And I could see, like, you know, like, the irony, of course, like, of it being more of a stab movie and how appealing, like, that can actually be is, like, hey, it's come full circle now that while these movies have, like, these, like, you know, self-awareness to them about the horror genre while also being a horror movie to themselves, this one's just full on, like, we're going to be a horror movie. We're going to be a straight up stab movie and everything. It just didn't work for me. Now, that's not to say there weren't things I did like about this. I think this is Neve Campbell's best performance in Scream since probably 2. Like, and I thought she was been great in all of these movies. But her coming back as Sidney Prescott, especially after, like, having the whole dispute with Paramount and everything in 6, I was expecting, like, okay, like, let's just see how good she is in this one. I'm hoping, like, there's no, like, you know, salt in the wound. Like, you know, okay, like, you guys didn't want to pay me for 6. I'm here to do 7 now. I'll just do it. No, like, I legitimately thought she was fantastic in this movie, and she was one of the best parts about it. And in same to what you're saying, Matthew Lillard feels like Stu never left. Like, his facial expressions, the way he says things. I recently rewatched Scream 1 because why not? It's one of my favorite horror movies. But I did it to get like, you know, ready for this. And just, like, coming off of that, and then just for shits and giggles, I also watched Scary Movie 1 because of the trailer for Scary Movie 6 came out. But, like, coming off both those films and just kind of seeing this performance, I'm like, you know what? He's fully embraced Stu. And it just felt good to see, especially coming off of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, where he's just like, I'll say the shit, but, like, I don't know how you want me to deliver it, like, type of a performance. I will say, though, Courtney Cox is Gale, and I kind of felt this way with the last movie, too. I feel like they've run out of things to do with her, and that maybe
I get that vibe.
she probably should have died in the last movie, in my opinion. Not that like I want to see Gail go away, but it's like they didn't do anything with her in 6 really, and they really don't do anything with her here. And there is a scene where they potentially have something for her to do that involves her and Sydney, like actually kind of tapping back into that first movie involving her journalism career. And I thought like, ooh, this will be really cool to see this play out. But all it does is it causes basically Gail to act like her old self when like she hasn't done that since Scream 2, where she like had like a lesson about the way she was in that first movie. And it also made Sydney feel out of character because she says to her like, why do I even trust you? And it's like, girl, you and her have been with each other for 5 movies now, killing these damn Ghostface killers. I'm pretty sure you could trust her. So it just felt weird there. And like I said, I enjoyed Chad and Mindy. I was kind of echoing there. However, I will say this. All the new characters, Tatum, Joel McHale's character, and a lot of the other ones, I feel like they are just there to be meat for the grinder. And that's not to say I think that they're not putting in bad performances. It's just they don't really do anything with them. Like all the high schoolers, I'm just like, they're gonna die in this movie. Like I'm like, they're not giving them anything to do. They're gonna die. Tatum will live because of who she is, and it's a coin flip for the husband. I'm like, he can live like or die. We do need a new David Arquette. We do need a new Dewey, so maybe they'll keep him around. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just kind of felt like there are tropes in this movie that Scream has always pointed out them doing, and they avoid doing that, such as like one thing, and it boggled my mind when we got to the third act and they started doing this. When, Stu is just like, when Randy's going over the rules in the first movie, and Stu goes, I'll be right back, and then like everybody's just like, oh, he broke the rule and everything. They did it ironically there for, comedic purposes and how they're pointing out stuff with the genre. Here, characters are doing it unironically, and it just kind of made me go like, no offense, but for people who just had friends and family die next to them in vicinity with them, y'all are just quick to go, all right, see ya. I'm just going to split off from you guys. There's even a moment, too, they try to do a red herring with a character to make it look like, see, he's a Ghostface killer, but I'm like, no, like, there's no way, like, unless if they reveal it right now. And, like, the way that character re-enters the movie and, like, comes back to the character that thinks he's a Ghostface killer, I was just like, nobody would do this. Like, out in the open, like, no, it's okay, babe, I'm here. I wasn't really the Ghostface killer. And Ghostface is around, and it's just like, geez, I wonder what's going to happen here. There were just so many moments that was happening that I was like, for a Scream movie, this just feels out of character for it. And even though I felt like the last movie was also doing that too, this movie it feels like it's doubling down on it to where when we get to the reveal, and I'm curious to see how you feel about this, the reveal is kind of what sent me overboard of this was okay to me, and now it's just like, I don't like this. In the last 10 minutes, I kind of was just like, all right, like, if this can just wrap it up. It really sucks to say that, like, from when it started, I was like, you know what? I'm actually kind of vibing with the setup here and everything, to where we got to the end. It made me just kind of look back at everything and go, I don't know if it was rewrites. I don't know if it was because, like, people left and these were just, like, you guys were kind of stitching stuff together. But, like, it felt like kind of a bit of a mess as the longer the film went on. They tried to tie up loose ends.
Yeah, a lot there to chew on there, too. We can talk around, I guess, about / around the reveal here in a minute.
Yeah.
Here's the theory I threw out, too, because, like I said, Catherine and I went on opening night. She's a diehard fan of this series and everything like that. So her love of it, like, kind of permeates me a little bit too.
Yeah.
And we talk about it and stuff like that. I will give her props. She did call the killer within like the first 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that was quick. And I'm like, who am I to question? But the funny thing is though, here's my theory on this. And I'm wondering to Scary Movie 6 in the same way, is that because we had this discussion, Catherine and I too, when Scream came out in 1996, you had a ton of slasher sequels. That was the landscape of horror at the time. You had slasher sequels. You had what Roger Ebert famously coined as dead teenager movies, like I Know What You Did Last Summer and everything. horror was in a weird place where it was very sequelized. It was Halloween, it was Freddy, it was Jason, it was Chucky. The comedy was starting to enter the picture too, like between Freddy and Bride of Chucky and things like that. And throughout the 2000s, you kind of had torture porn, and you kind of had like reboots and remakes and things like that, along with some like The Mist and Final Destination and stuff like that. What's funny now is that Scream feels like, when it used to feel like the edgy kid, feels 30 years later like the dated person. And part of that, I truly think, though, is like, look at what Scary Movie 6 is going to parody. Weapons, Sinners. Right now, horror is not the marginalized genre. Amy Madigan might win an Oscar.
Yeah.
Sinners is going to win multiple Oscars.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be like, you are like parodying, like Scary Movie 6 is going to be parodying at least Oscar nominated movies. And that's never been the case with this series. And Scream has never had to operate in a moment in time when horror is so good.
Yeah.
And I think that that's part of what makes it feel dated too, is that like when you have like Jordan Peele and Oz Perkins and Zach Kreger and even Sam Raimi earlier this year with Send Help, when you have these, these rose glass to go deeper in things, when you have these people that are really doing some unique things with the genre and finding inventive ways to tell new stories, that like something like this, it's just really hard for it not even to compare, but to even try to do better than, because it's like, no, I truly don't think this material can do better than Weapons. I don't think it can do better than like Long Legs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that just, after watching it and writing about it, it was like I would just kind of going over that. Like, this hasn't been Wes Craven's series for a minute, but it really feels that way now, just given the landscape of where the genre's at.
Sure, and like I didn't. And let me say this too. I didn't go in expecting like weapons or anything, but it's
of course not. No,
I went in. I'm like, this is a slasher movie. I'm expecting Thanksgiving. I'm expecting clown in a cornfield. Like
but
like,
even that bar's been raised. You see what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I know. Now, when I mentioned those movies too, it's like, like they have brought it up a notch too in some cases. But at least I can say this: this does not go as low as that reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like it doesn't go nowhere near that fucking that hole of a movie. But like, yeah, I mean, like, look. And to put it in perspective, because I know this movie's been getting a lot of flack from critics and even some audience members as well. I've actually seen more audience members, and I think just fans of the series kind of praise this movie more than what it seems like out there. As two people, would have been three if Dom was here, who defended Halloween Ends. It's just like, look, I can also take a step back and be like, try something new. Go outside the box of what people are expecting with your franchise and everything, and do something unique. So I was on board when, like, they even said while promoting the movie, this isn't gonna be a meta commentary really about Scream. It's more about family. It's more about Sydney. It's a movie more about Sydney than it is the horror genre. But it just sucks for me, like, I mean, that sucks for me. It just sucks to see, like, okay, you're gonna take the leap of finally moving on from this, because I've been saying it since 6. I was like, okay, we got to ditch the meta stuff at this point. All right, it's getting a bit dragged down, and honestly, it's holding it back, I think, from ascending to what you're saying. For me though, I feel like while they did ditch it, they still just kept doing the stuff though that like they've been making fun of, but like I said, unironically, and it's just like, man, like you can go further than this or anything. You go further than this, but it's just like you're still kind of a little stuck here in the 90s and even 2000s here when you guys were making these movies. And it's just like, hopefully one day, maybe with 8, who knows? Maybe with 8, they'll actually be like, okay, we're going to not elevate horror like Scream. I don't want that to happen. Otherwise, they'll actually be funny enough what Scream 8 was, or Stab 8 was in this universe. But like with Scream 8, I feel like, hey, maybe once you actually have a sequel that from the ground up, you have people on board, they stay on board, you can get something solid here. And you don't have to do anything meta, because I'm all about, like, if you want to move on from that, I think that's the way for Scream to evolve and also grow with the horror movies of today.
And they did try, to their credit too, with 5 and 6. They did
They
bring
did,
in new
yeah.
faces, and they did bring in. I didn't, and this confirmed it too. Like, I'm just not a fan. It's not real. It's not anything disrespectful. I'm just not a fan of the Radio Silence guys. I've
Yeah.
now seen like 4 of their movies. I just like Devil's Due. I just don't find anything really distinctive about their work. I think they picked the wrong people to reboot it. That's what sucks about like Landon getting ousted before he could really even get started.
Yeah.
Because I do think Landon could have, if you were talking about like, this Scream, I think like if you tried to convince Jordan Peele or Zach Kreger to do a Scream movie, I think they would be apprehensive, and I don't think they would touch it. But I do think somebody like Christopher Landon, who took the body swapping Freaky Friday template and made Freaky, took the Groundhog Day template and made 2 Happy Death Day movies. I think if you were to give Landon the material, I think he could find a new angle, because he's great like that.
Yeah.
And he's smart, and he's a really, and the thing is, like, his movies are good. One of the things that really makes his movies connect to is the writing is so sharp in his stuff. Like, you recognize that it's derivative. Like, it's kind of this weird comparison coming, but it's kind of like Pixar's Hoppers. Like, I recognized it was derivative, and even leading up to it, I'm like, yeah, it's Avatar. And then like 15 minutes in, I'm like, I don't give a shit. This is actually really well thought out.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Landon's material operates too, is that it's so good it rises above the obvious derivative nature.
And that's what I love about Happy Death Day and everything, because it was just like, yeah, this is Groundhog's Day, and it's doing that whole thing, but it's finding something unique to do it with the horror genre, and it can move, and it can do something different with it. I mean, we got the sequel. The thing I love about the sequel is, in this case, like, again, I would love if he was like, okay, I'll come back and do 8. Like, hopefully the smoke's been blown over by then and everything.
Deactivate his email so he doesn't get death threats.
Because the thing I love about the sequel to Happy Death Day is it's not really a horror movie at that. It's more of a sci-fi, like, just like drama, because it's just like she's going through the same events again. It's like, yeah, there's a killer out there and everything, but it's like they're actually diving into her character, and she's in an alternate universe and everything else that's happening there. And it's like, you're hearing that and you're like, wait a minute, that's the sequel to Happy Death Day. But trust me, what they actually do with it, the writing actually makes it really work really well.
I like to, and I thought it alone more, if anything, and I was just critiquing, like, that, like, this thing, like, I feel like just doesn't have sort of the commentary angle, and just doesn't know what to do with it, though. Outside of that, that kind of shoehorned in monologue from Jasmine Savoy Brown at the bar.
Yeah.
I will say I did have a lot of fun with the opening scene. And I think that connects back to, I don't think they do it well, but it connects back to that, the whole like Airbnb house and everything. I think that does connect to it a little bit. I just thought that was as a standalone opener, I thought it was pretty strong.
Okay, I was gonna ask, I'm like, because I think back to the opening of the movie, and I'm just like, why did they kill those people? Because it's just like, I really don't see a reason why, like, and I don't get why they did that, other than like, did they want to burn down the Airbnb and everything?
That's what it was. That's what I got out of it.
Oh, okay, and they just were like, oh, these people are here,
it.
So we're gonna have to kill them, like, while they're here and everything. I don't know why they just didn't. I don't know why they just didn't do it when no one was there.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the fun. That's the fun of it. It would have been very weak if it was just him putting gas on the house. And I like the way they did it too. I like
it's a fun sequence, and it has Jimmy Charo from, like, he always makes small appearances in movies that we've always liked, and he's a lot of fun in the opening too.
Dom would have something to say. Dom would have brought up the opening. I know Dom's like followed him or something, or like, been aware of his work and stuff. I know Dom would have had something to say about him. Within the opening minutes of the show. I know we're like I said, promised a shorter show today, and that's what we will deliver. Your point on the reveal, though, like I said, I didn't have. Now, first off, I don't want I don't want to spoil it. I'm worried that a certain device that is quickly consuming our society, as well as consuming a lot of water, is going to become the way of the cabin in the woods trope in horror movies pretty soon.
I was worried about that too.
You know what I mean? Like, it's 2 letters. You can figure them out. Steven Spielberg made a movie about it, but I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I really didn't, because by that point, these things, it almost feels like too there needs to be like an instituted rule that these Scream movies have to be 90 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
at a certain point it kind of becomes blasé. I've gotten to the point now with like, because they're whodunits and there's multiple ghost faces now. Like, I've gotten to the point I kind of enjoy the journey more so than the reveal, so much so, because I know it's gonna be some sort of, like pretzel logic thing, especially with the way that what this incorporates. I didn't have too big of a problem with it though, quite
Okay.
frankly. I wasn't blown away by it, but I thought it was the lead up and the build up was kind of interesting. The score does some interesting stuff at the end too.
The score was interesting at the end. I liked what they did there. Yeah.
Little minutia there,
I
but
for me it was just kind of like, okay, like, are you gonna commit to this? Because like the whole time that this character's popping up, I'm like, all right, like I know what you might be doing here, and it's like this better not, and like you're saying too, I hope this doesn't catch on with other studios from how much bank this movie made and everything. Like,
that's my
um,
fear.
I was just sitting there, I'm like, either I would love for them to fully commit to this, and they actually introduce an idea at one point where they're like, well, what if like Stu's been recruiting people throughout the years and everything, and I'm like, shit, you know what? I'm like, dude, that would have been something where it's like you could have tied this back to almost all, because the one thing about 6, and they try to do it with 5 as well a little bit, but especially with 6, is they try to make all the killers connect, and they did it with 3 as well, and everything. I like there's something about these Scream movies where it's like every once in a while somebody goes, wait, what if we all made them connect in some sort of way? And it's just like they actually had a thread here through Stu, and I was like, you know what, if you're gonna do it, maybe this is the way to do it, where maybe Stu has been doing this behind the scenes, and like he's just been recruiting people, and that's what made people obsess over Sydney and stuff like this, and yada yada yada. I'm like, it could have been explained that way, but no, they don't do it. I'm like, okay, so what do we have instead? And who is revealed? I'm just kind of like, all right. I'm like, I kind of saw you coming. Who the fuck are you? I was just kind of sitting there. I'm like, that. I'm like, it just, the reasoning, the reveal itself, it almost feels like they did it because they have to do it with a Scream movie, that it has to be someone. And I almost kind of was just sitting there and being like, I'm like, what if it wasn't someone they knew? And it was just like, man, like the Ghostface thing has gotten so out of control that people are just becoming copycats and everything. And just Sydney found herself in one of these scenarios and everything. Because when they do explain the reasoning, I wasn't not fully buying it, but I'm like, it just seems like a stretch here. And then for the other killer, I was just like, I don't know why you're here. I just don't get why you're here, honestly. I'm like, I'm like, man, like I really don't get why you're here. And like I said too, like when it got to that moment and the third act just finalizes and wraps everything up, I'm just kind of like, ew, that ended on such a sour note for me that it's like I will be back for a Scream 8 for sure, but it's like you have an uphill battle for me at least to go up with, because like I said, it's been kind of going down, and I'm hoping with this next one, if Williamson sticks around, they get Nev Campbell, and they got things from the ground up here. The hopefully Scream 8 can deliver.
What's your star rating while we still got a few minutes?
Don't hate me. It's 1.5 out of 4 stars.
Damn, damn.
Yeah, there's so much I want to say because, like, of course, like spoilers and everything, but I don't want to reveal that stuff in case of anybody who is listening. And I knew a few friends who were wondering what I thought of it because I went to go see this on my own. And a couple of my friends who haven't gone to see it yet and have seen it have been wondering my opinion. I told them, I'll just tune in to Sleepless tonight so we get some more views or watch the recording of it. So I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, I wasn't about it. It kept losing me the longer it went on. And it sucks too because like I said, I do like the opening. I thought the standalone opening, even though I was questioning like what it tied into, but I thought it was just a creative opening, especially with it being an Airbnb. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool how they did that. But as it started and we were like getting back to Sydney, getting back to this, her life and everything, I'm like, man, she's selling it. Nev Campbell's completely killing it here. And Williamson's writing, I'm like, yeah, this does feel familiar and everything. But like once they got into, we got to figure out who done it. Honestly, when we got to that bar scene, the scene you're talking about with Mindy and she has her exposition, that's kind of actually where it starts to teeter down for me. And it just kept going and going and going.
And see, I like that bar scene. I really did. I like that. Not the monologue's okay. You know what I mean? It gives some substance. I like the bar scene too because it just gave. While most of these characters are fodder, like it did give people a little bit of a room to breathe. You know what I mean? And I like that they didn't try to rush it. And then it's germane with the talk show setting. You know what I mean? Which is like I love how it's like. You know, I love how they like just cut in on a random evening on TV and it's like the LeBron James decision. You know what I mean? They turn on the bar TV and it's right on the news.
Dude, it's on every TV. I busted out. I had the theater to myself at like 11 o'clock in the morning when I went to go see this. I busted out laughing when like she clicked on one remote and everybody is just like, no way, bro.
You ever go to a bar and the fucking news is on?
The fucking Pacers game should be on the screen there if this is in Indiana.
You know what I mean? Like, you ever go to the bar and the news is on? Like, the best I could do for you is like at 10 in the morning, they might have Prices Right. You know what I mean?
Good morning, Indianapolis.
Yeah, Drew Carey or somebody. But it's 2.5 stars out of it for me. I enjoyed this enough. I'll also add 2. It doesn't have any impact on my rating, but man, I like that Ice Nine Kills McKenna Grace song at the end.
That is a
Twisting
good song,
the Knife.
yeah.
That is a good song.
As the credits were playing out, I'm like, I've heard about this song, and I was like, we're just waiting to see the movie to fully hear it. And I was just sitting there listening to the credits. I'm like, this is good. This is definitely going on my Spotify.
Catherine, I've seen Ice Nine Kills live. She's a huge fan. We've seen them live twice. They're great live.
I saw them for Metallica's 2-day tour. They were the second day. They were the opening band for the second day. They were great. And the performance,
they're great.
The performance they put on, like, not even just the band. I don't know if you guys had the actors dressed up as killers running around the stage and hunting people down.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if that's their shtick or anything like they always do with every show, but it was entertaining as hell. Like when they did like recreations of Evil Dead and Friday the 13th. I'm like, this is so
amazing.
Cool.
No, it honestly feels like a live music video in the best way. Like
it's like Cirque du Soleil, but for horror freaks like us.
It's true. That's a good way to put it. No, I like the song they did together. I thought that was just great, and I like more of the melodic metal. I've noticed that's my taste. I like more of the like not the kind where the song titles are like and shit like that. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna open up this song with screaming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's 2.5 for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough, and it's. I would be interested. I think though, when it's not if, it's when they do Scream 8, they probably get Williamson back. I don't think they're gonna. I
would do everything you did here. I would bring it all back because obviously it worked the most.
I agree. That
audience wise, box office wise, it is obviously not for me, but yeah.
That's our show tonight. Next week, this time, we'll be recapping the Oscars, and next week's show will probably go even a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I was gonna say, now that I got Zoom updated, the possibilities are truly endless. I appreciate you sticking with us too. I appreciate you, Joe, obviously, for putting up with an unforeseeable delay and everything
it's
like
all good,
that.
Man. We ended at a good time.
We knocked it out in half an hour, man. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said. This is Sleepless with Steve. We come to you live and in living color every Wednesday evening, usually 6:30 Central Time, but sometimes a little bit later. Either way, we try to get out of here about 7:30 and let you enjoy your evening. Until then, we will all be back, including the unseen but still love Dominic Guanzon. For him, Joe Viso, and yours truly, this has been Sleepless with Steve.